Hey everybody, my name is Dr. Cade. Thank you again for joining me. We've got a very special guest on today, someone who I love very much. I think is an amazing woman, and recently had a conversation with her. And now we're going to flip the tide and make it all about you today. So Denise Pancyrz, welcome to the recording here and the conversation. Thanks for making time for me today.
Oh, thanks, Dr. Cade. I'm so excited to always chat with you. I think we both learned so much from each other.
Yeah, it's awesome. It's awesome. I always learn from you. So your website is reversemydiabetes.net. You've also written a book, but why don't you just introduce yourself here to everybody?
Sure, yes. My book is The Virgin Diabetic. I actually wrote it as an inspiration for folks to realize that no matter where you are when you get that diabetes diagnosis, you can absolutely turn this thing around. So I was in my 40s and I was in the ER and ended up with glucose over 400. My triglycerides were almost 8,000. My cholesterol almost 800. I was a mess. And to answer the question I get all the time, I had never been obese in my life. So this was not a weight driven, it was a lifestyle driven occurrence. And I walked out of the hospital 4 days later with 4 insulin shots and all the medication that goes with it. I went from doctor to doctor and educator to educator to find out what I really needed to do to get off of medication and insulin. And every time I had that discussion, the answer was the same. No, sorry, you're probably not going to ever get off of this. The dosages will get higher because the disease gets worse as you age. So my husband can attest to how stubborn I can be. And in this instance, it was a really good thing. I was not taking no for an answer. And it was truly back up in the Midwest when I lived there. It was a chiropractor who actually got me launched to go in the right direction. So I have an affinity for chiropractors. I know you are awesome, and how you help people has certainly changed through the years. So that was part of my good, healthy initiative when I went down this path, but it was changing the overall lifestyle. I absolutely was able to eliminate all medication and all insulin, and that's been over 10 years now. So I'm aging in those 10 years, and I still don't need medication or insulin.
So I just want to point out, well, congratulations first and foremost. It's incredible.
Thank
And
you.
yes, it does take a lot of work and a lot of frustration, a lot of dedication, but hats off to you. You're a shining example. I love it. It's so weird to hear you talk about that lab work because I only know you on the other side of this as someone who's, very disciplined and very clearly driven towards a goal that again, it surprises me just hearing you talk about that stuff. But one thing I want to point out is the language that you're using. There's a huge difference between getting this diagnosis and managing those symptoms for a lifetime, which is really what medications do, right? We're just managing those symptoms versus what you said, the dangerous word, the reverse. But you're, again, a shining example. So it's possible. You're not lying to us. It's possible.
No, it's absolutely possible. And I don't want folks to get confused thinking that we are curing something, because our health is very fluid and it changes. But we are reversing what this disease can do. If I go back to my old lifestyle, guess what? Those glucose levels will start to come out of range again, and my cholesterol will be off, and you name it. So it really is about taking the steps to mitigate what diseases can do for you. Whether it's diabetes, cancer, or some other illness, it's what we do to take care of ourselves once we get that diagnosis.
I love it. That is such a great way to put it. And, I guess the disappointing part that so many of us don't think about, with this disease is if we don't, take care of it beyond just medication, if we don't manage it, then eventually, yes, the symptoms are going to get worse. We're going to need more and more medication. So I love that you brought that up. So my question to you, and it's always been to you, is millions of, people are getting diagnosed and have been diagnosed with diabetes. And, some of them are managing it. I should say most of them are managing. Some are working on trying to change their lifestyle and the reason why they have it in the first place. But very, very, very few people have taken this and turned it into a blessing, right? Taken this burden of a diagnosis, turned it
Right.
into a blessing for themselves, and found a way to make change and to help other people and to serve other people. And you're doing that in such a magical way. And I just have to ask, why? What's the driving force behind that? Getting beyond yourself and helping others.
Well, I always believe there's a reason things happen to us in our lives. Part of the driving force was my younger sister had leukemia, and through that process of treating it, she became diabetic. My dad was type 2 diabetic and passed away at a very young age of 61. And I'm only a few short years away from that. An uncle that lost a leg before he died of diabetes. So I didn't understand that until it came to fruition with me personally. And when I went down the path to change my life so I could get my health back, and realized there literally, I can count on one hand, if that, how many people were really willing to help me reverse this disease and not just manage it. And I felt like maybe that was a bit of my calling now, and it was my turn in life to give back and say to folks, don't feel stuck. You don't have to be stuck. We can do this. We can turn your health around. This disease runs in families. It runs in packs for a reason. So when we help one person, we're actually helping multiple families, and exponentially, we then can reduce the amount of people that become diabetic.
I love it. I love it. Well, another note is what you've done for yourself and what you're doing for others is medically impossible. The gold standard of care in the medical world is medication, and that disease just progresses for life. And so, it's the definition, I guess, medically impossible, is one way that the medical world looks at it. But for those of us that really truly know how the body heals, when we get a cut, if I'm shaving my face, which I haven't done recently, but if we get a cut, our body's natural state is always thriving for health. It's always wanting to heal itself. We're constantly changing our temperature. Like you said, we're a living, breathing animal. Our blood pressure, our cholesterol levels, our blood sugar levels. So when we do the wrong things, of course, that's what's going to happen, right? But when we do the right things, that healing process happens, not by mistake, not by accident, right? That's what happens. And so I just love that you're out there sharing that message and that you're continuing to do that for yourself. So I guess the next question, we've had quite a few patients work with you. And of course, they love you and can't say enough. And I just admire how detail-oriented you are with these patients on one hand, but also encouraging them and lifting them up and showing them that they are strong enough and they are disciplined and that they do have the time to make these changes if they really want to, right? So you have a magic way of doing that. But what is really as you're working with people that have been diagnosed with the disease, what is your title as you're working with them, and what is really your philosophy as you're going through and helping them on their journey?
So, the philosophy I use is we have to treat each person as an individual, even though you're under that umbrella of having diabetes.
Mm-hmm.
How we get there and how we actually heal from it is going to be slightly different. So we have to look at the entire lifestyle. If we just look at food, it will help you, obviously, if we change the food. But if we don't understand all the other aspects that go around our lifestyle, for example, okay, why am I eating late at night? Is it habit? Is it because of my job? Why am I skipping breakfast or lunch? I skipped breakfast for many, many years and realized that really hurt my health. Why am I not getting the rest I need? Why am I not getting any activity in? Is it because I hate going to the gym, or I just haven't figured out how to bring that into my life? So those answers are going to be different for everyone, and treating somebody on a very individual basis is really what I strive for. So whether I do that in private coaching or in my online program, it's always about thinking about you as a person and forget about the other diabetics that are out there. You have to treat you, the whole person.
So another thing that I love so much about you, and for those of you that are listening, what she just said was so powerful. There is such a huge focus on how to make it work, how to go shopping, how to make this diet, how to make, it's all about how. And I think it's such a distraction. You're going a couple layers deeper. You're looking at the person that's in front of you in the eye and you're asking why. Why are we making these behavioral decisions to not work out or to eat something late at night? And a lot of times those are the driving forces, how we want to help ourselves feel, right? I want to, before I go
Exactly.
to bed, I'm going to eat something junky because I know that when that sugar hits my mouth, it tastes good and I can let go of all the other stress and I can go to bed easier, right? But well, why are we in that emotional state to begin with? And what's driving us in there? Is it, I just love that you do that. So can you tell us a little bit more of the people that you've worked with? What are some things that they're dealing with? Is it the stress from work or a relationship or something else that's causing them to get stuck in those bad lifestyle habits?
Yeah, absolutely. There's one client that really comes to mind that I think had become so lost that even physicians kind of gave up, and we didn't look at what was really going on. And this was a woman in her 70s who was on oxygen, on a walker, and was taking anywhere from 220 to 240 units of insulin every day for her diabetes. And by the time her and I sat and spoke, she was just like, Denise, they keep telling me to lose weight. And she was terribly obese. She was very unhealthy. And she just hit a point where she hit the wall. And a lot of folks, by the time they come to see me, they've hit the wall. And to me, that is just very frustrating to see people almost give up. And I'm glad that none of them did. But in her case, what we did is in literally a couple of weeks, we figured out what was going on and we could reduce her initial insulin dosage by over 100 units. And then once we did that, in another 7 days, she lost 7 pounds. She had only been gaining weight. So in fairness to her, no one is going to lose weight when they're on too much insulin. The answer is not more insulin, more medication. We also were able to dig down deep and figure out, well, why are you not eating properly? Some of it was lack of education. And we think that there's so much information on the internet that everyone should know by now, but everyone doesn't know by now. And that information becomes overwhelming that people shut down. They just stop looking for the answer sometimes. So we were able to get family involved to help prep some of the meals, to teach her, and realize she was missing out on some really tasty and healthy foods. So several weeks into our coaching, we actually, she called me. She was in her car. The radio is blaring in the background. She was singing to the radio. She said she has not done that in years,
Amazing.
absolutely years. And it was several years since her husband passed away. So this created more of an issue around her diabetes, was that fairly recent death. So we put all of those pieces together to understand what she really needed and how to take the steps to get there. She was walking around the block with her oxygen tank and her walker. She was losing the weight. She was feeling great. She was excited about her granddaughter's upcoming wedding and was participating in it. This was a new person, just because we dug in to figure out what was the underlying condition of those high glucose levels.
So you saved her life. That's really what I'm thinking on this side of it, is that you saved this person's life by digging a couple layers deeper. Again, for those of you that are listening, this is the future of healthcare. And right now, the gold standard of care, again, is a medication. And if that doesn't work, then we, send somebody to a specialist for a special test and a special medication. But this is the future of medicine when we look at
Yes.
things outside and we widen our toolbox. And that doesn't happen unless we, have the time with people right in front of us. So
Exactly.
you saved her life. Thank you for what you do. I need to say that to you every day. That's amazing. And I just wonder how many other people out there that the system is full of great people, but that the system gives up on because we don't, the system doesn't have tools. If you don't fit inside that box of medications working, then we kind of just give up, right? So
Yeah.
I wonder how many people that are out there that are looking for you. And the other thing I guess that I want to say is your title is a coach, I guess, but you know so much. You have many hats, you're a business owner, you're a wife, you're a coach, you're an inspirational human being, you're a nurse, you're a doctor, you're reading labs, you're a therapist. I mean, did I miss a couple hats or what? Where?
Grandmother.
Wild. It's wild. So
Yeah.
yeah, amazing. I was going to say hats off to you. So no pun intended on that, but that is, it's incredible. So of those different roles, maybe I'll ask this, which one do you find yourself fitting into the most when you're working with clients professionally? And which one is the hardest one for you to wear?
So you know what? I kind of feel like I'm the mother in some ways because I want to be nurturing. I want to be a good support. Sometimes it's a little tough love, right? For some folks. So I kind of feel like it's almost more of a mothering role in some ways. And then I feel like when they've graduated and they're out on their own, I feel like an empty nester that I miss all of my clients. So it's important to me to, year after year to make sure I still keep in touch with folks because I become attached to my clients and they become more than clients at the end of the day. So I feel very blessed for that. So yeah, I see almost more of a mothering role,
That's awesome.
even though many of them are older than me.
That was going to be another thing I was going to ask. Well, that is just another thing I love so much about you is that you know so much, but you make it, an easy way for people to connect with you. You work with them on their goals, meet them where they're at, but you do have that tough love side, which I think is so needed. I struggle with that a lot, but you do have that tough love. And I think a lot of people probably don't want to let you down, right? If they're spending time with you
Exactly.
and you're pouring all of your love, your energy, your passion, your spirit into people, I'm sure a lot of them just don't want to let you down.
Yeah, no, and it's funny. I have a lot of clients who've never met each other, and I will get a response or an email or a text saying, I'm sure this is not Denise approved, but, and I'm like, did you all go to the same class together? Because they kind of do that. But we have fun around it. And I think that's one of the most important things. While this is such a serious topic, we have some fun. We have laughs along the way. And if we can't do that, we keep in that stress of always trying to strive for perfect glucose levels. We're human. There is no perfection in this process. And one of the things I really like to strive is because we're human, we're going to fall off the wagon every once in a while. A birthday, a vacation, an outing, a holiday. The key that I hope everyone walks away with is how do you get back to that healthy lifestyle as quickly as possible and not throw in the towel? That realize it's a blip and now we're going to get back to watching our health, that you don't have to let it be like a runaway train. You actually can rein it back in again and get back on that path again and get your glucose levels where you need them to be. It's absolutely possible, and no one should ever give up.
I always tell patients that the only thing that's going to make a bad meal worse is if you feel bad about it. And I think once that guilt and that shame really creeps in, it gets us back to that dark spot where, getting back on track seems like a bigger, a bigger mountain than what it really needs to be. So
Exactly.
that kind of brings me into some more questions that I have for you. And so I'm going to throw a couple of them at you, if that's okay. Does somebody have to
Absolutely.
have a diagnosis to work with you? Does somebody have to hit the wall per se, right, to call you and to work with you and start? And well, I'll leave it there because I've got some. Let's jump into some diet questions after that. Okay.
Okay. Okay, great. So no, absolutely. I think just like any other disease, the longer you wait, there's more work and time involved into it.
Yep.
I see more and more folks coming to me that they don't believe they have diabetes, but it is in their family and they would like to avoid it. One of the things I would love for people to do, and I can help with this next thing or not, but is to get a C-peptide blood test. We all rely on this A1C test, and that is a test. I don't know if folks realize it, that tells you after the fact that you have diabetes. And we want to test now for how is my pancreas functioning, because that's where we're getting our insulin produced from. So what if someone could know 2 or 3 years in advance that they were on the road to diabetes, even if their A1C is normal?
Love it.
There could be that issue already starting. We can stop it so early on that you don't even have to go down the path of probably needing medication. So, especially if it's in your family, I would say that is one test, the C-peptide. Ask your doctor to order it. If not, I can order it, whoever, but you want to get the test. And I do offer a free complimentary consultation. So if you tell me you've got that test result, let's talk about it.
Love it.
Let's see what it really means for you.
So is that something that most doctors are ordering right now, or are we still stuck in this fasting blood glucose and the A1C is kind of our primary way to see what's going on with somebody's blood sugar and insulin resistance?
Yeah, there are some of my clients have had some phenomenal doctors who have ordered it. I will tell you, it's probably 10% of the people that I've worked with. And when they ask their physician to order it, just like me, I had asked my physician years ago to order that test. And the response was, well, you're already on insulin and medication. There's no reason to order it. But I knew enough, having worked in the lab industry, that if there was a glimmer of hope that my pancreas was producing insulin,
Mhm.
would I shut it down after years of insulin and medication? Or could I do something and have an effect on it, just like I could with heart disease or liver or what have you? And got the test, had just enough of insulin being produced that was my glimmer of hope.
Awesome.
And I went from the bottom of the barrel of producing my own insulin well into the normal range. So it is possible, and many of my clients see that happening, that their insulin production actually can improve. No one will tell you that though.
Yeah, that's amazing. And maybe you should highlight that and say that again, and we'll use this as the sound bite so that Google and YouTube flag us for this. No, I'm teasing. Okay.
Yeah,
Well,
exactly.
again, thank you for that. So they can ask their doctor about that test. And then if not, you can make sure that they order it with you. And just for everybody out there, you said it's a C-peptide test.
It's C-peptide, Peptide.
Awesome. Fantastic. Well, let's jump into diets a little bit. There's so much information out there, and people really do get paralyzed by how much is out there. And I noticed that on the flip side, a lot of people, pick a diet and they'll put their blinders on and they'll stick to it, regardless if it's not working for them, whether it's, gaining weight or maybe losing weight or, energy wise. So what are your thoughts on what's the best diet out there? Is there a best diet for everybody out there at all times? And what are you seeing success with your clients?
So right now we know the hottest diet right now is the keto diet. And I am a believer that, yeah, that actually can help a lot of folks up to a certain point. I think for years we've been pushed to consuming way too many carbohydrates, good and bad, and we lose sight of what's truly good and not so good. I'm more of a fan where, one, we want to make sure that even healthy foods are not negatively impacting you. And we know that that can happen. Bloating, migraines, can't lose weight, whatever someone's issue might be. So we have to look at all foods that people are eating. I say we want to take the best from a lot of these diets that we've kind of seen out on the market.
Okay.
Take some from the Mediterranean, take some from a whole plant-based diet. There's probably some good things in the keto diet. One of the biggest mistakes people make when they latch onto a diet is then they mold it to their personal preference and they leave out the things that they are not interested in doing. And sometimes there's a good reason a diet does promote a certain aspect. But the biggest thing is bring it back to you. How are you sleeping after you've eaten some food? Do you have a headache? Are you sleepy, lethargic? Are you feeling bloated? Are you having some digestive distress? Are you not able to lose weight? So pay attention to how all of these foods are affecting you. That can help you be really a good guide.
I love it. One of my favorite quotes is, if you listen to your body when it whispers, you'll never have to hear it scream. And we've gotten so good really at shutting down, our body's communication to us, right? And just telling it to,
Absolutely.
to shut up. But I think what you said is really important too. When we do listen to our body, sometimes even things that are supposed to be healthful foods, right, are things that our body might not respond to. So even though, somewhere you read or somebody told you that this was really good for, your blood sugar, or really good for your gut, or really good for your energy, and you have it, and it, what did you say, gastric distress, or it's keeping you up
Yeah.
at night, or you feel like it's draining your energy, or you're gaining weight from it, listen to your body. Your body's telling you those things, and eliminate it for a little while, and you can always reintroduce it. And if the same symptoms respond, then at that time your body's not going to do well with it. But another
Right.
problem that I see is sustainability, whether it's cost on some of these diets, whether it's fatigue after time, getting sick of prepping it and staying on it, or maybe a little bit of ADD and curiosity with the taste buds there. So do you have any advice for people that are struggling, maybe in a hard spot right now, trying to stick to a diet, or maybe have done a diet for a year and they're wanting to try something new? Any advice for those people, Denise?
Yeah. So, I'm not a huge proponent for signing on to a diet program, quite honestly, because they can be costly. And what happens when, as you said, you can't afford to do that anymore?
Yeah.
I really do think, take one food. So, for example, and I have it in one of my lessons too, is cauliflower. So, my husband is not a cauliflower fan. So, I've had to come up with different ways of making it. And so you learn to swap things out. So, for example, I loved my mom's potato salad in summer barbecues in Chicago. I can't eat that. Potatoes don't like me, and they don't like my glucose levels aren't good with them. So I took cauliflower and used that as a replacement for the potatoes. It is like 98% the flavor and the texture of what my mom's potato salad was. And it brought back those wonderful childhood memories. So I use it for that. I use it as roasted cauliflower instead of roasted potatoes, cauliflower steaks, cauliflower au gratin instead of mashed potatoes. And so that one food, we can change it up in many, many different ways to give us the flavors that we're really looking for,
Yeah.
and give us those good glucose levels as well. And cauliflower can help you keep some of the weight off too. So it's a big win all the way around.
Yeah, it's very nutrient rich food, despite it, not really having any color like so many other great fruits and veggies that are out there.
Right.
We always call those faux potatoes, right? Where you're
Yes.
kind of tricking your body into thinking you're getting that tasty potato. But hopefully you can share some of those recipes, or maybe can people find recipes, especially to that potato salad, maybe on your Facebook or on your website?
Yeah, you know what I'll do? I will post that on my Facebook page. If they want to get on my email list, I usually send out some recipes anyway. So feel free. It's a free list. You can get great information, get some recipes, and buried in the article section on my website at reversemydiabetes.net, I actually have several different recipes, even desserts,
Ooh.
cheesecake, apple
Ooh.
donuts. So there's all kinds of good things out there. And through my online program and my coaching program, I always share all of my recipes with my clients, because we weave that into all of that training and learning how to change those taste buds.
I love it. Yeah, it's just, again, for those of you that are out there struggling, looking for an answer, just sick of taking medication and thinking that you've got to be a lifelong customer of being on the medication.
No.
Denise has worked so hard, personally and professionally, to put these recipes and this very strategic game plan into place to get you to where you want to go, and really rid yourself of this diagnosis. So I've got, hopefully you're okay on time. I've got, I think, two more questions. And then what we can do
Absolutely.
is wrap it up, and we'll make sure that we put the links so that people can find you in this video and the article here on our website. But I loved how you said that we're always learning, even for those of us that feel like we're in a stable spot, managing things, or maybe we're still on medication, we're managing things. Maybe we've gotten off medication, we're managing things. But yeah, information is always changing. And I love that people can get on your newsletter to stay connected with the most up-to-date and helpful things. But talk with me, for somebody who's struggling, maybe they're just not getting the results that they want. Maybe they've put in everything, and they're working out and they're eating right and they're managing their stress, but, they're not losing weight, or their A1C is just not budging. what advice do you have for people that just aren't getting to where that they want to go? Maybe they're not fast enough. Maybe, I don't know. What advice do you have for people?
Yeah, and getting stuck is happens to the best of us. It happened to me, along the way as well. The first thing is you really just kind of have to first stop all of that noise around you,
Yep.
because everybody wants to tell a diabetic what to eat
Yep.
all the time.
Yep.
And then people switch gears when it's a holiday and they say, oh, no, 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 it's okay. Just have a piece of chocolate cake. You'll be fine. It's only one day. That, what I call that white noise, is really very hard on someone with diabetes who is having some struggles. So put that off to the side. And I would say start journaling. All of my clients have to do some type of a journal, whether it's electronic or on paper. And we use that as a great teaching tool to find those barriers that are causing you to stop and not have the success you should have. Don't ever think that, oh, it works for everyone else but me. No, there is something that's causing that barrier for you. And it could be some of the simplest things, but we just kind of don't look outside the box. And journaling can help us get to that answer much more readily than we think that it can. So it's a very simple thing to do. It doesn't cost you anything to do. I highly recommend it. It is what drove me to reverse my diabetes. It drove me to eliminate my medication and insulin. And that was really how I wrote my book, The Virgin Diabetic, because I started journaling and realized I'm not the only one that is struggling. So journaling can even help you with some mental clarity along the way.
Yeah, there's definitely something therapeutic that happens when we put that pen to paper and really get some of our thoughts and emotions and just some of the, I think a lot of people pick up on the bad habits. They didn't realize that they were maybe eating this way or thinking consistently, maybe pessimistic or something like that. So I do love journaling. I think that's an excellent tool. And another piece that's so important for us to understand is these diagnoses didn't, even though we might have got it last week or last year or whatever it is, it doesn't just happen in a day. A lot of times things are going the wrong way for months, for years, and even longer before we get to that diagnosis. So things aren't just going to reverse in a day or a week or a month either. It takes a lot of work, and it's harder to reverse the diabetes than to give yourself diabetes, for sure, right?
It is.
But having someone like you that can walk you through that process, and even when you're having a dark day or that chatterbox, you talked about the chatterbox kind of talking with us and trying to lure us into temptation for the holidays here. It's important to have someone like yourself. So again, thank you for what you do. So we also, again, just to kind of finish that part, we talked about being more connected to the process, right, than being connected to the results. Because if we get those results that we're after, we don't have that foundation of sometimes those simple things. When we get the results that we want, we're usually more likely to fall off track and get back right in the same spot that we were than being driven to the process and the healthy habits, mentally, physically, spiritually, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And the whole part of getting into the processes you mentioned is going to help you when you do step away for a short period of time.
Yeah.
When we reach results so quickly, we think we're done.
Yep.
And this is our life, and it really is about that lifestyle. So knowing how to get yourself back, knowing how to catch yourself, you learn that through the process. And we learn that using various lab tests as well to help you drive some of your decisions in your lifestyle. So yeah, the process, you can't give that piece up. Otherwise it's a short-lived achievement, and we don't want that.
Awesome. Well, again, I'm so happy that I get to sit down with you. It's a blessing to call you a friend. And I just think you are doing wonderful work, changing and saving people's lives here in this community and abroad. People can work with you remotely. So
Yes.
I guess one more question that I have before we wrap things up and you tell everybody where they can find you is, I think we've known each other now for a little more than 4 years, right? 3, 4 years?
Yes. It's
Yeah,
gone by so fast.
it has
Yes.
gone by fast. And the first question that I had for you back then is the same question I have for you now. Are you going to start working with people outside the diabetic realm? Because I think everybody can benefit from you regardless of what their diagnosis is. Are you exclusive to diabetics still?
Okay. No, actually, I'm not
Oh.
exclusive to diabetics because I've had people come to me that they couldn't get help elsewhere.
Hmm.
So no, I have opened myself up. I've had some clients come in now who are more about just overall health and not just about the food, but the entire aspect of lifestyle. So through the course of time, I have actually adjusted my title to diabetes and holistic lifestyle
Love
coach
it.
for that reason alone. So,
The day has
yes.
come. I was not expecting that answer. That is amazing. Oh, I'm so
Yes.
excited. Okay, great news. Great news.
I'm going where the need is. So that's yes.
Well, there's a lot of folks out there that need you. So, Coach Denise, reversemydiabetes.net. Tell everybody again where they can find you.
Yes, absolutely. Reversemydiabetes.net. And you can email me, text me, you can sign up for a free newsletter there. You can book your free appointment at reversemydiabetes.net. There's no obligation. Let's just chat.
I love it. And I can clearly see your heart there. I know that you just love to help people. So please, everybody, go check her out. There is a lot of value to be gained. So, anything else you want to say before we wrap it up?
No, as usual, we never have enough time together. So
That's true.
there's tons of information out there. And I feel very blessed to be able to be your friend.
Thank you very much. Likewise. Well, thank you everybody for listening. And please go check out Miss Denise. And happy Thanksgiving. Merry Christmas, everybody. And I'm sure I won't see you before the holidays, but thank you. And we'll talk to you soon.